Unless it man ain't domino, bro. I won't even cut it below the knee. Let me see. Hello, hello. Can I speak to somebody? There you go. There's one. Yep. Back at it. Like your own video. Alrighty. Hello, 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 hello. I know I could hear myself because I could hear it from my video, but um, yeah, no. So I'm here. I'm back. You know, it's only been like what, like 10 hours, 8 hours. I wanted to continue because I wanted to finish what we were doing earlier because we didn't finish this, so I want to do that. I also just want to make more progress on this game because I've been taking it really slow because I just been like what's it called? Just been busy. So hopefully trying to make some progress on this because I know we're not at the like the this stuff yet. We're not at the stuff yet. So I'm trying to show you guys some peek real quick. But yeah, no. So let's keep going. So last time we had Sojiro working with Kinomi. Just talking about like, oh, money is everything. He's just learning about working, getting money, living on his own, stuff like that. And then part two was Alco and Alice just chopping it up, talking about like, oh, practicing, whatever, so on and so forth. And how Alice had to leave to take care of something. Oh, excuse me, take care of something. Obviously, like Alco's aware of what it is. It's just more like Alice will handle this one. But as we move on to volume three, we learn that Alco could have handled it, but Alice is like, you know what? I'm already here. Let's just do it. So the fourth volume, I have no idea, but let's see. These are all still side stories, by the way, like just in between what's going on in the story. Oh, I forgot my water over there. Alright, hold on. I just hit money domino, bro. What do you even cut it below the knee? I know my mic can pick that up too. That's the funny part. It can't pick me up though, because somehow my voice is lower than a squeak. But we ball up top. Anyways, let's get back to it. Let us rewind to a moment in the recent past. The scene took place on a Saturday morning in early December. With third period over just before lunch, the only activity that remained before the scholastic day ended was homeroom. Two of Class C students, Sojiro Suzuki and Hosuke Kinomi, were standing outside on a balcony overlooking the schoolyard. Excuse me. They were stuck waiting for their homeroom teacher, Mr. Kazuki Yamashiro, and could not leave until he arrived. The rest of their classmates were chatting idly in the classroom. Ha, there's Toby Maru. Oh, he's not in the same class as them. That's crazy. Excuse me, sorry. I still have the crab ragoon left over from yesterday's stuff. Oh, excuse me. It reminded me of the. Sorry, I can't. I shouldn't talk with my mouth full. There you go. Okay. I was gonna say. There's that one SpongeBob meme. I was like, sorry about that, folks. Anyways, back to the show. Were they doing the snail race or is it the rock race? I don't remember. I think it's a snail race. Anyways, Class A's Tobimaru Tsukiji was killing time alongside them. The listless trio discussed their weekend plans as they leaned on the veranda's railing. I do. I do. That's crazy. Mm. That's just not even trying to hide it. That's just copyright laws. As if by design, the moment Tobimaru Tsukiji stood up warily from the balcony railing, the school's PA system rang. I remember when I was in high school, how we had a PA system too, because I think most schools do. But usually they would just call the teacher in the homeroom like phone that they had. They're like, "Oh, can you bring this student over? Or tell them to come over to the faculty office or the principal's office or stuff like that." Because like, I think it was like it stopped during like middle school where like they would just call them out by the PA system, just like It's kind of embarrassing, but I don't know. It's each their own, I guess. Give me 1 second though. Oh, never mind. Actually, never mind. An awkward silence fell upon the three. After a long 5 seconds, Sergio said goodbye and headed back inside. Bye bye. Kinomi grumbled, slouching his shoulders and succumbing to his lethargy. What? Huh? What? A babe from Mars? It's very true. Wow, the fact that he just doesn't even stop from doing it, just changes the thing is crazy. The two frenemies returned to the classroom, complaining all the while. The concern for their mutual friend summoned to the faculty office completely out of mind. Of course, of course. The volatile tension between the ruthless student council president and the easygoing modern language teacher permeated the room. Praying to be spared from the impending confrontation, the other teachers hurriedly relocated to the meeting room. By the time Mr. Yamashiro noticed this, the only other person in the room was the student council president, Aoko Aosaki. After hearing her out and realizing there was no way she would back down, Mr. Yamashiro hung his head. Hold on, give me 1 second. me see. The stream is so delayed. I'm so sorry about that. I didn't realize how delayed it actually was. Yeah, anyways, I'm back. Sorry about the delay. Anyways, let's continue. As far as Mr. Yamashiro was concerned, she was in the right, and he was well aware of the aforementioned student's situation. Personally, we would have liked to help, but among the faculty, he was just the new kid on the block. He wanted to stay on the vice principal's good side, and at the very least not lose his job, as badly paid as it was. The student council president removed the document from her bag. It was a document that had been brought up in the morning faculty meeting, bringing a host of headaches with it. Mr. Yamashiro scratched his head, but his eyes were smiling gleefully. He had figured out the student council president's objective. Look at her looking out for Sojourner. Mr. Yamashiro raised his hand to surrender. There are a few students able to both raise a complaint and propose propose a proper solution. Perhaps it was her big sisterly disposition that made this girl so simultaneously feared yet trusted. It's crazy. She's so different between her and Alice. Like when she's here and when she's with Alice, and when she's with Sojiro, three completely different things. Like with Sojiro, she's just tweaking out. In here, she's just so professional and so studious, and then with Alice, she's just a normal girl. Like that's legit. Like Alco with Alice is just a high schooler. It's insane. Yeah, this crazy. With about the student council president turned to leave the faculty room. What? The girl's cool eyes narrowed. Unable to process what she had just heard, her expression turned to a scowl. Oh, they're doing it together. That's crazy. Oh, this dude is a sicko, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, this man is a demon. He is a demon. Good lord. He's just like Toby Maru. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, excuse me. I forgot. What's it called? in Japan, in high school, they have 6 days instead of five for school week, which, shoot, I'd hate that. I'd severely hate that. Sojiro was awake 2 hours before the time he was supposed to meet her. After getting up, he decided to go for a leisurely jog to clear his mind, but lost him on his own thoughts. His 30-minute jog turned into almost an hour. Upon realizing, he rushed home. After thoroughly racking his brain over what to wear for the occasion, he decided upon wearing his school uniform. Yesterday in the faculty room, when Alka Ozaki had shared a time and place with him that day, she said it was such pain on her face. Maybe she was fighting a headache at the time. Sojiro muttered, his words of concern misguided as they were. In any case, he waited for about 5 minutes. At precisely 10 o'clock, the student council president appeared. So I don't understand what this on her hair is. Like, what is this? What is this? And then her bangs too, just like, bro, you need to get a different haircut, bro. I don't know, maybe I'm just bugging. He waved off her concern. A heavy weight of despondency fell upon Sojiro's shoulders. The angsting over his outfit for the previous 2 hours had been rendered meaningless just like that. Hey, I mean, at least he's not out of place. Now they're out of place together. The duo, clad in their school uniforms on a day off, walked by the train station. In the beginning, Aoko had made efforts to give Sojiro a thorough lay of the land, but today, she only shared the bare minimum of explanations. This was partly because, surprisingly, Sojiro had become well accustomed to the town, which restaurants were good, which shortcuts to use in a rush, and why the nearby bicycle shop was better than a department store by the station if you wanted to buy a bicycle. Things a local would know. What? There's a bike up. Fair enough, alright. But the other reason was that I had dawned on Alka how the two of them conversing might look to passerby. What? From here on, volunteering at the church Methodist school would tolerate his multiple jobs. Sojiro quickly agreed to the tempting offer. Not like a bobblehead, but as was typical for him, he had failed to consider the content of the proposal. That's sweet. He pondered with all sincerity how exactly a church worked. His contemplative posture made him appear the part of a philosopher, but after all of his thinking, he concluded, I guess they start taking your money on your second visit? Such was the extent of Sojiro's concerns. Hako sighed at the little lost lamb. The lost little lamb, excuse me. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, I forgot. Dang, I gotta do that later. Whatever. Hako picked up her pace as they headed for the church. Somehow she seemed like a general invading enemy territory. It made Sojiro furrow his brows in discomfort. My mouse. Ada Church had a long history. Far from the station, it was a white painted sanctuary nested between the business and the residential districts. As far as Alka could remember, the church as she knew it now was the result of remodeling done 8 years prior. It was practically a cathedral for a town of this size. It's just a building. That's crazy. Incidentally, located next to it was the Misaki City General Hospital. From Alko's perspective, it seemed awfully suspicious for the church to take up residence next to the location of the city where the most lives were lost. Though the only two who were aware of this opinion were her roommate, Alice Kuonji, and the priest. The more Alko spoke, the more twisted her expression became. Recalling these made her want to grab it by the proverbial collar, give it the proverbial one-armed Judo back throw, smash his proverbial head into the proverbial ground, and kick the proverbial living daylights out of his defenses. Goodness. It's just a memory. Such was her so-called trauma that if it was ever anthropomorphized, it would take more than a 5-round beating to satisfy her thirst for revenge. Wow. She hates this. Goodness. It was in this moment, as he became aware of Alko's mood, the soldier began to fear for his safety. Perhaps attracted by the noisy murder of crows outside the church, a woman in a nun's habit emerged from the front entrance. I don't know why was she saying that about criminals. They're just high schoolers. Actually, could she not see? On the surface, the two exchanged congenial greetings. Unable to read between the lines, all Soldier could see were two good friends. Ten to 3. 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Oh, so 5 hours. That's not too bad. It's so funny how the church is portrayed in Nasu works. Like, the fact that it's just Christianity, you know, it's just Christianity, but like, Kirei is one of the church, and it's just like, wow. You know, of course, don't lump in one organization with one person, but like, man, it's hard to look at the church and be like, oh wow, yeah, he's a part of it. Excuse me. And then flashed a smile that was equal parts elegant and cruel. Keeping up appearances aside, she seemed overjoyed to have able hands to put to work. The sister introduced herself as Yuika Suze. Yuika Suze? Man. This is what happens when you're a foreigner. And thanked Sojiro, who had volunteered of his own volition. Sojiro noticed that her eyes were always shut, but not wanting to be rude, especially in front of Alko, he decided not to pry. This still let us slip a frown at Sojiro's ambivalent response to her compliment. Her sister's tone was gentle, her words seemed somewhat indifferent. She lacked sight, but she guided the two with certainty in her step. It wasn't their strong suit as much as it was Sojiro's. With a dismissive wave, Alco headed to the door in the back of the worship hall. As she had indicated, she was quite accustomed to this church. Excuse me. The work entrusted to Sojiro did not require any particular skill. It was window cleaning at its most standard. That's true. That is true, actually. I don't remember. I don't remember where I had to do that, but I remember I did have to do that somewhere. Oh, my current job, of course, but not with windows, but with stainless steel. There you go. Yeah, with stainless steel, it's a similar process. After the brief exchange, the sister returned to the church. So she began to wonder if it was out of distrust in him that she was being so curt. He understood that it was too soon to glean the answer from their first meeting, but then again, such answers always eluded Sojiro. Oh, that that sound effect stun locked me. Left alone but no less encouraged, Sojiro began cleaning the windows. The day's weather was a disappointment once again. It had not gone so far as the rain, but it was too overcast to enjoy the sun. I actually like overcast weather. I think it's nice and soothing. It's a nice change of pace compared to like sunny weather, rain, stuff like that. But I do like rain the most when it's overcast and it's raining because that's the most beautiful in my opinion. It's so serene and not even like not even like depressing or dreary. Sure, a little melancholy, but like I kind of enjoy it that way. Honestly, it's like a nice, in a way, a weirdly nice refresher from like how bright and sunny things are usually. Which sounds depressing, but like I generally just like overcast weather. It's cool. But yeah, leaning against the tall ladder and beginning with a window about 5 yards from the ground, quietly cleaned. Arjo was never the kind of person to mind physical labor. In fact, if there had been a blue sky, this might have been a perfect day off for him. By the time he had finished his third or fourth window, he felt very relaxed and began to whistle. The 15 feet was an intimidating height. It provided a wonderful view at the same time. Turning towards the town gave Sergio a clear view of the treetop hill that had previously caught his eye. The hill in the woods just outside of the town. From here, the forest overlooking the sleepless city looked like a foreign castle. Just then, lost in his thoughts while walking windows, Sergio was pulled out of his trance by someone pacing below him. He looked down and saw a girl, her unkempt clothes otherwise contrasting her very kind visage. Kris Kringle. Should to be in her late 20s. Really? Really? I would have thought early 30s, honestly. But then again, I guess I'm just bugging. Huh. Despite the cold, she was not wearing a coat. She had no purse either, which is rather strange as a woman and her purse were never far apart. Not that Soldier knew this truth quite yet. Based on the fact that none of this seemed to apply to her, one could easily have surmised that she was herself a little loosey-goosey. Few cards short of a full deck, one might one might also say. That's disrespectful. The girl looked up in admiration of Sojiro as he stood atop his ladder. Ma'am, I'm here to clean windows. What do you? Please leave me alone. The girl let out a hearty laugh. Her smile glowed like a cactus that had sprouted legs and began to run about. Huh? Inasmuch as running a cactus could only cause trouble. I'd never seen that, like, I've never seen that before. Is that real? Ah, because it's a phrase. That makes sense. That makes sense. Alrighty. As Sojiro anticipated, the girl began to clean without waiting for his approval. Opening a window next to Sojiro, the girl continued to chatter cheerfully. Although this was all kinds of suspicious. Okay, that's not my monitor. Alright. Sojiro politely followed her lead, nodding in agreement as she spoke. Perhaps it was instinctive camaraderie. He sensed this girl was just like him. Also, always getting to show energy when it came to media work. My goodness, reading always just makes me so tired. There you go. Let me. That's adorable. That's strange. That's really strange. Alright. Hanazawa took a quick glance at the floor bed below in the middle of her introduction. I gave him a friendly laugh. The self-introduction, however, was the usual brand of awkward. Soju nodded agreeably. Dignified or not, it could barely hold back the sense of solidarity that was welling up within him. Soju said here. He pointed at the church. Even Hanazawa was taken aback by his question. Unaware of Soju's pro... What? Provincial? Provincial or provincial? How do you pronounce that? I've never heard that word before. I never heard of that word. There you go. Oh, concerning a no. Ah, okay, yeah, so it just means that he's outside of the city. Provincial. Provincial, okay. Makes sense, makes sense. You know, we ball up top, we ball up top. Ball like a Laker. Ball like a Laker. Unaware of Sojiro provincial background, combined with her quick-witted nature, Hanazawa seemingly mistook his question for some kind of sophisticated wit. The rack sweet as the two carefree souls continued to wipe down the windows. Whistling as they went, they shined they shined up one window, then another, then another. As someone raised in the countryside, Sojourner's pride would not allow for a mound of dirt to be called a mountain. Wow. It was as if the shadow fell over her till now sunny disposition. She was undoubtedly a beautiful woman with very lovely features. But as Sojourner looked at her in that moment, her smile melted away. He saw how disturbed she was at this comment. When it comes down to it, it's definitely a hill. Sojourner was not one to closely watch people's reactions and fuss over his speech. Sergio nodded along near Astoria as she stared at the far off chimney. From his vantage point on the ladder, a teeny tiny part of him was curious about the hill, because it reminded him of the woods where he grew up. But after reminding himself that it was none of his business, he returned to window washing. It was a little long, but I'm glad I didn't do it last night, because I would have been fried. Yeah, you're here. Thanks to Halazawa lending a hand, they were able to finish the job without a hitch. Between the two of them, they had accomplished a simple but very time-consuming task. And him taking pride in his work. By that time, Soldier, who had started playing away the ladder, turned around. He was only able to catch a glimpse of the girl's figure dashing toward the street at lightning speed. Just before 3 o'clock, more than 3 hours had passed since Hanazawa offered to help. Soldier watched the girl with many strange faces disappear. For someone who seemed to have been on an aimless walk, Hanazawa has spent a good deal of time with him. Maybe helping Soldier out reminded her of something she needed to do. The student council president popped their head out from the corner of the church. Sight of Soldier putting away a ladder tall to himself seemed to have provoked an emotional response in Alko. Then in an instant, she rolled up her sleeves and began to approach him. It surprised him more than Alko's sudden appearance. Ignoring Soldier's bewilderment, Alko promptly began issuing orders. She did all this so matter-of-factly that Soldier began lowering the ladder before he even had a chance to insist that he could do it by himself. With work finished and the sisters' thank you gifts in hand, the two put the church behind them. Since Alko apparently had something to do around the station, they decided they would walk together until they got there. Beneath the orange-tinted sky, Alko spoke more as though she was expressing her thoughts out loud than striking up a conversation. Soldier gave her an earnest smile. But then again, he had been beaming ever since he received his pay, so the source of his joy was not so clear. She's such a tsundere. Soldier hugged his head dejectedly. Even if his job had been going well, school was still a bust. Exams were one thing, but even classwork was something he had found himself falling behind in. Matter-of-factly. Akko cocked her head to one side, unsure how this exchange had resulted in that response. She decided to interpret it as Soldier simply expressing his gratitude in his own particular way. Since the only school Since the only school authorized locations were in the Masaki shopping district, his response was much as she expected. That is, except for the decidedly unexpectedly last part. Oh, dang, hold on. Oh, well, I forgot to read this one too. As if Alco rather impressed. Transporting unused amusement park machinery was not a job that student willingly does in their free time. Alco looked up in the direction of the neighboring town. From here, you could just barely make out the Ferris wheel. The round steel frame of the wheel, illuminated by the sunset as it was reminiscent of an old gravestone. Aiko had to stifle her laughter. She knew it would be rude to Sojo to burst out laughing, but the remark tickled her funny bone. Alco showed Sojo the envelope that contained the pay from the church. There was nothing sinister about her remark and gesture, but the fact that she did not jump at the chance to go. What? But the fact that she did not jump at the chance to go made Sojo sad. Wow, already? It was no wonder there were no customers at all the time he was there. Exasperated as she was at Sojiro, the student council president seemed to be enjoying herself. At this point, she would be yelling things at Sojiro like, I can't believe you didn't know that. Well, this evening, this one and only evening, she found it charming. Oh, that's a beautiful CG. Oh my goodness. Yo. They parted ways. Sojiro returned. They parted ways, and Sojiro returned home to his apartment, immersed himself in his studies, and before he knew it, it was time to go to work. The major cultural difference, though certainly not the only point of difference, between the city and the country was the use of time. Not matter what part of the city he was in, time flowed far too quickly here. Failing to squeeze even a drop of knowledge from his textbooks, he put them away for the day before heading into the town. The night grew deeper as today turned into tomorrow. Sojiro reversed his collar to protect his neck from a bitter cold and began to make his way back home. Not a soul to be seen. No dogs scrounging for food. No late night shoppers. Why would there be? A solitary convenience store in the area closed at 11 o'clock. He mustered what little energy he had to take in an especially deep breath. Man-made landmarks lined the deserted street. Garish blue fluorescent light, brighter than the stars above, illuminated the darkness. An unconscious sense of anxiety stirred within him. A chill crept up his spine as he attempted to mask his weakness with words. Stay out of the dark. Stay away from the deserted places. Whether it was for some deeper reason, or perhaps the fact that he looked so helpless, everybody he had met in his life seemed to warn him with those words. I gotta be better than this. I gotta stay awake. I can't get so tired of a one chapter. This isn't you. Ooh. Money bags, baby face, EST. That's beautiful. What did I even mean? Stay out of the dark. Nowhere in the city was without light. Everywhere, from the bustling train station to the remote residential areas, was illuminated by artificial light. Not at least the main streets. Scary was scary, but his kind of fear was a different sort than what he felt in the mountains. The most likely source of his fear was the fact that this place was governed by starkly different rules. The way in which the city melted out, the way in which the city meted out justice was terribly imbalanced. And to the provincial soldier, his lack of familiarity with the laws of the land terrified him far more than the dark. In the mountains, retribution came swiftly to those who broke the rules. Take a game trail, for example. Those who willingly trespassed on the animal kingdom's domain would, as a matter of course, be savaged by the native wildlife goodness. Accordingly, in Sojo's mind, an offender paid the price for one's mistake immediately. It was not a matter of who punished whom, it was simply that the one who broke the rules would be instant, tangible retribution. He felt that, in this regard, the laws of the city were far too ambiguous. One could meet their demise without ever knowing whether one was in the right or wrong. To put it simply, retribution was delayed. To take the analogy a step further, back home in his village, no one individual had been given the responsibility of maintaining order. In the city, however, someone was put in charge of punishing lawbreakers on behalf of the kind-hearted citizens who lived here. While crime and punishment in the mountains were synonymous, in the city the twos were separated and an unrelated person brought judgment after the crime had been committed. Entering places that must not be entered. Saying things that must not be seen. Breaking a law had consequences. Someone would come to exact justice for the law that was broken. The result of all this was the safest way to survive the city was not to stick your nose in the affairs of others. When the people who cared about Sojo told him to stay away, they probably meant, if you don't, nobody will be able to help you. No matter how much of a nuisance these obstacles were, one could not just climb over a neighbor's fence, even one's apartment was just on the other side. If the people inside happen to be awake and call the police, nobody will be able to lift a hand to help him. Yeah, that's your fault at that point. With his misguided view of the city, Sojo once again ended his day in peace. Unable to fall asleep right away, he gazed out his window upon the night sky from the floor of his apartment. The cityscape had caused him to tremble in fear when he first moved here. The convenience of solving almost any problem with the flip of a switch. Reality of a living wall away from a complete stranger. Excuse me, living a wall away. It all disappeared into the night sky when he looked up. Unconsciously, he recalled his own words. What dim stars, what a cramped sky. Here there were no starry nights. Could he even survive here? The same misgivings since his first night continued to haunt him. Dark, really dark. His eyelids fell shut. Although he was fraught with worry, Sojo's body felt the fatigue from his work and studies, and thus he fell fast asleep. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. Actually, no. Actually, oh, I am. Yeah, no, I am. That's funny. By accident, but, we'll make it count. And then this one, this is just an interlude, basically. And then, yeah. Alrighty. Well, with all that done, now you move on to chapter 2. I feel like I'm missing way more CGs than what they showed here. Actually, no, wait, because of course, yeah, these are CGs. These are different. Every other thing that they're using is just sprites. Which that's so crazy to think about. Every other thing was legit just a sprite. That's insane. Like, there's so few CGs so far. Yeah, because like this. Yeah, like this isn't a sprite. None of this. I don't remember this though. Yeah, I don't remember this. That's so interesting. Wow. And there's 21 pages worth of sprites. Or CGs. Ah, and here are the songs, of course. That's cool. That's cool. Alright, let's continue. Blues in her name. Weird how they do fingernails in this one. Because, like, that doesn't look like a fingernail. But this does. And that one kind of does, but not really. Oh, anyways, next episode. Alrighty. Oh, we have a little recap. So, the last chapter was us seeing Alco and Alice delivering in a little park, and they were practicing magic. But then someone apparently caught wind of it, and they ran away. And so now Alco and Alice are deciding between like, all right, let's kill them or not. But they have to kill them. We don't know why yet, but you know we'll see that. It's just me. All right. There isn't really any other way of saying this. I am a magician. Kind of like those witches in fairy tales who live alone in the woods and perform miracles with the wave of a finger. While a popular depiction of it differs from reality, it's closer to the truth than you know. That's cool, it's fading out. Though that's funny. That's funny, I can use my mouse. Alrighty. Though just so we're clear, no, I don't fly through the sky on a broom. I can't transform into animals or speak with small birds. Though the way witches are excuse me. The way witches are depicted in media is so cool. I'm reading a manga right now that I'm gonna make a video on at some point. But like that one is one of my favorite depictions of witches. I don't know. I love witches. What do you love about them? I can't talk about it yet. Modern mages are nothing so fanciful. Not at all. They're actually horrible. Our existence sounds unbelievable, but we're quite grounded. Though it may seem like we can do anything, we're actually majorly constrained. And while I still have a lot to learn about it, this is my real job. So it's a lot more romantic than being a high school student, right? Naturally, this is a secret I don't just share with anyone. A mage must do everything in their power to conceal their work. That is the first and most important part of the association's 10 laws. Not that I'm tempted to let the cat out the bag in the least. My secret identity as an honor student is intact, and absolutely no good will come of me revealing my true nature. If anything, it only leads to more headaches. That's why I do everything in my power to keep it a secret. Of course, if I'd accomplished anything as a magician by now, then maybe I'd see it differently. I fantasize about revealing my secret life's work to a single, special person while I finally make something of myself. Yeah, it'd be pretty solid to just confess one day, by the way, I'm a magician. The idea alone is enough to keep me from spoiling that big reveal, regardless of the association's rules. My grandfather patted me on the head when I shared these thoughts with him. I don't know if that was praise or what, but I remember that his touch was gentle. I first learned that I first learned that I was succeeding my grandfather and dad graduated middle school. When I first returned home, there he was, your elder sister left on a journey. From this day forth, you are the heir to the Yazaki. He said it in such a matter-of-fact way. I knew that Aozaki family passed down this old tradition of magecraft, but to be honest, I never imagined I would be the one to wield it. Magecraft is supposed to be passed down to a single child. It was my sister's role to take the mantle. I had no interest in dedicating myself to so many rules and routines. I planned to live a normal life. I had hopes and dreams for the future. I felt bad for my sister, but I was determined to live my life my way. While I managed to do just that for a time, I was blindsided by a vicious counterpunch. Since then, I've been. What's this? Uh. Yeah, okay. I'll look at that in a second. Since then, I've been thrust headlong into a world I had only observed from afar. It was a hell of a way to start high school, but I suppose it wasn't all that bad, all things considered. Back to the present. A lot has happened since then. I was so dazed by this newfound life that a year of school melted right by. That was the second year before I knew it. Thankfully, nothing drastic has happened. For 6 months, my roommate and I totally tried to kill each other, notwithstanding. Huh? For 6 months, my roommate and I totally tried to kill each other, notwithstanding. As it happens, I've got a natural talent at this As it happens, I've got a natural talent at this magic stuff, so I've yet to have any hang-ups there, either. I'm only human. I'm only human. So I've had my fair share of headaches for sure, but never once did I worry about my future. I thought my life would be smooth sailing all the way. If only everything had gone planned last night. Alice Koonji asked Aoko Ozaki the second she entered the house. Her dark eyes succeeded where her voice failed to communicate the gravity of the situation. Aoko took off her unflattering coat, hung it on a hanger, and sat down on the sofa. Alice sat across from her, with a table separating them. Alice's gaze drifted from Aoko to the box on the table. That's a cool way of using Sprite. It's such an interesting because usually that wouldn't in visual novels that I've seen you wouldn't do that. Usually the way that the visual novels go, you just have the sprites talking and you have the text box. But this is weird because this is legit just a novel. I'm putting it to screen that you can see. I do that so often. It's so stupid. But what you're seeing right now is legit a novel. I forgot about that. And so the way that it's handled, it's cool because it has the pictures in the background, but you're just reading a book. Genuinely, I'm just reading a book to you all who are watching. So it's such a cool, not interactive, but presentable way of reading a novel. That's why I love visual novels, because this is such a cool liberty to take. And it's so minor. It's legit just you reflect your sprite over the box. Make sure it doesn't go over. And there you go. You keep it there. Hiding it underneath these. That's so cool. It's just generally so cool. Give me 1 second, please. Go. Alright. Meaning they were of the least use when needed the most. Aoko sighed. Incidentally, the creation of the secret file started the moment Aoko became student council president. I'd never seen this sprite from her. As confident. The mere rumor of its existence was enough to strike fear into the entire student body. Alice is only mildly surprised. It had been almost 2 years since they first started living together. She knew as well as anyone that when Alco put her mind to something, she saw it through to the end. What happened last night was far beyond a mere exception to that rule. This predicament should not have been possible. Akko glared at her. The ward was Alice's responsibility. If it was, if it was to blame for last night's trouble, Alice had to own up to her fair share. Alice and Akko may have been roommates and partners, but it was a relationship of convenience. While lineage had brought them together, they were more like enemies than allies. Ultimately, they were just not a match. Where there was a blunder, it was punished. Where there was an opening, it would be attacked. If there was even an opportunity, the two of them would kill each other in the event of such a moment. Alice locked eyes with Alco. Alco's fierce gaze can make a grown man cower in fear, but Alice did not bat an eyelash. Her eyes look empty here. I suppose you're right. Alco agreed as the question reaffirmed her trust in Alice. Alice answered as flatly as ever. The Bounded Field is like a sanctuary sealed away from the real world. Steps are taken whereby a certain area is cut off from the outside world. There are various kinds of Bounded Fields. There are the physical ones that close off an area beyond the wall, and less tangible ones that use mirrors, mist, or trees to conceal that which occurs within. However, when closing off an area to the outside world, you cannot avoid communicating the abnormality's existence. In other words, the area may be closed off to the world, but it is impossible to hide the fact that it is closed off. In time, someone will take interest in a sealed off area even if they cannot see what's going on inside. Some might say this is putting the cart before the horse. The ideal field would be one that was both undetectable and impervious to interference from the outside. That was exactly the kind Alice had generated in the park the night before. I heard that phrase before, but I don't know what it means. Oh, doing things in the wrong order. Okay, that's what that. It's a cool phrase. It's a really nice song. Goodness. All right, so yeah, so to explain a little bit, or not explain, but more like elaborate. Bound Fields are interesting because like this is I think this is more specifically the Nasu stuff because like he has his own. Oh, Kinoko Nasu, by the way, the guy who wrote like Fate, wrote this, wrote what's that thing called Tsukihime, all that stuff. He has his own like magic system, and like Bound and Fields are part of it. Where like let's say your home is a bounded field, and it just doesn't exist when you walk by it. But it doesn't mean that like if someone has interest in it, they're not gonna be able to go to it. It's not like it alters the mind itself. But this one, that one that Alice made people forget, or even like just not enter at all. Exactly, forget the reason they're being there. So why was someone there? And my thing, I think, is like it was because somebody was already there to begin with. So it's like making the bounded feel. It's like, like what's it called? Even if someone's in there and they forget the reason for being there, it's not like it's gonna stop them from seeing what happened, especially if it happened during the time when it was at the peak of things. Oh, but that is true. The Alice's words considered the possibility. Her eyes expressed her confidence that she had overlooked nothing. Nothing! The thought of being targeted by this individual was terrifying. If they were able to penetrate Alice's field, it could only mean that their skill in magecraft was superior to Alice's. Alice, in her current state, would be completely helpless against such a foe. The chocolate. I love bonbons. Alka was quickly running out of straws to grasp at, and that meant she was out of questions to ask. All she could do was call it bad luck and leave it at that. Miss Sofa groaned as she leaned back. Her gaze went up to the brown ceiling with a sigh. It wasn't much of a view. She was becoming increasingly depressed. Her roommate's voice seemed indifferent. Alko just kept staring up at this wooden ceiling. The cool mannered girl's statement carried an equally icy implication. Alka took the words in slowly with as much sincerity as she could muster. Is that trying to swallow molten? Wow, that's disgusting. Though the thought sounded hollow even as it popped into her head. This was clearly different from last time. Well, the aim was indeed the same. The circumstances surrounding her target were clearly different. She may have been determined before, but that was as a mage. If enemies emerged, she would kill them. If she was challenged, she would step out to fight. It was a fight between two mages, and her opponent was in the wrong. Even if this could only end in death for one of them, it was an outcome both parties could accept. Kill or be killed. Morality had no weight on the scale. But this time was different. Her opponent was neither enemy nor mage. Even if she was prepared to kill them, this person was likely not ready to die. That's why morality did factor into it now. Was she truly up to the task of murdering an innocent person? Could she swallow the fact that this was a common occurrence for a mage? She snorted sardonically. Being a mage should not mean that Alko was some kind of monk who could cut ties with the real world on a whim. There was one thing Alko hated. It was doing things without conviction or understanding exactly why she was doing them. When she had this, she preferred to act decisively. As she said it, she got up from the sofa, having had her feel of the ceiling for one day. Alko returned to the Alko of always. Alice was done probing her. As if to reward her, Alice produced a small bottle. I thought it was going to be a chocolate. It fit neatly in the palm of her hand. The bottle looked completely out of place in her slender fingers. The glass was cloudy and it appeared empty. Some shreds of paper remained on the front where there was once a label. It's a really good drawing. What's that? Oh wow, I forgot. I'm not voice acting. Alko stared at the bottle suspiciously. Oh, what? Akko was miraculously able to parse what Alice meant. That's because it is. Alice looked at the bottle and acknowledged how ordinary it looked. She also understood that she would not be the one using it as she set it on the table. Why would it be that? She made a good point. Again, that's what I'm talking about. Reflection of the sprite on the table. That's so cool. It's hard to see because her hair is brown, but her face is the distinction. But again, that's really cool. Akko raised her eyebrows. In that case, one would have to weaken them until they were able to or about to pass out. Alice turned away as she replied, as if the topic no longer mattered to her. Akko asked, hoping Alice would deny it. Without answering, Akko dipped it a bit before taking the bottle and putting it in her pocket. She figured she might be able to find some use for it. Let me see. What am I looking at right now? What's the time? Oh, an hour and a half. Alrighty. Let me keep going until I get at least to 2 hours. 2 hours had passed and the clock struck 9. The conversation had moved from the drawing room to the sunroom. It had manifested into the kind of scene one would not expect in such a mansion. A hot, earthenware pot sat on the table. Akko spat out complaints to no one in particular as she plucked food from it with her chopsticks. Tonight they were eating a traditional Japanese meal that looked out of place in this mansion. When it came to the kind of Japanese hot pot where all one had to do was buy and boil ingredients, it was usually Akko's responsibility. Alice sat across from Akko as she silently poked at the pot with a fork. Are you serious, bro? Oh my gosh. What game is this? She's really pretty. My goodness. Alrighty. Anyways, the egg she plucked was still as silky as a baby's bottom, so she returned it to the pot. She settled for the shirataki noodles instead. Hold on, I wanna see that again. Getting tilted is crazy. As if her mouth was full, she simply nodded in response. Her expression stated that she had no interest nor opinion on the matter, but she at least appeared to be listening. Satisfied, Akko nibbled on some half-eaten fish cake. Tell me more. Sonoji. That's so funny. I respect Toby Mara for being a ride or die because I didn't even Kenobi's like that for Sojo, bro. Shout out Toby Mara. Her thoughts went to what had happened in the student council room earlier that day. She remembered how non-responsive Sojo had been to her words. His unconcerned face alone was enough for her to swallow the rest of her hempen without chewing it. Oh, she didn't say the last part. He says, ha! His words were a lot like those that ended. Oh, goodness. Perhaps it was meant as a compliment, but she took it as a patronizing way to pity her, because the person who said it had acted like she was looking at a wounded animal. I care. The episode might have made her the most confused she had ever been in her life. It was shocking young Akko the most was the look of pity on the face of the person she admired the most. The abrupt comment stopped her in her tracks. Alice nodded. That's such a cute necklace, bro. That's fire. Them and her casual were so fire. I mean, she's right. She's 100% right. That's what she was trying to do. That's right. It's hilarious. Her remark was unexpected but completely on point. See? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What other reason could Alice be suggest the alcove had for bringing it up? It would be several hours later, and bet the alcove realized that she had dug her own grave. Alice ate her hot pot in silence as if she was honoring some sort of sacred ritual. Her face was as indifferent as always, but she was secretly enjoying how flustered Akko was. Akko remained oblivious to this. Only she would have noticed immediately, but she was not quite herself at this moment. Well, If you dislike him, there is a reason. Whether it just be generally like, I don't like the way he looks, or I hate the way he chooses food. But usually there is a reason for someone disliking somebody. She trailed off as she finally realized how disagreeable she was being. She could come up with no reason why. Her instincts had told her that she was incompatible with that hick. But why such a strong reaction? More than anything in the world, Akko hated emotions without reason and decisions made with no rationale. Of course, she became more flustered the more she talked. Fortunately for her, she could not come up with a coherent reason to hate Sojiro Suzuki. It was not his fault that he had zero common sense. It was the fault of the environment he grew up in. In fact, it was admirable that he was trying so hard to adapt to civilized society. As clueless as he may seem, he was not a complete waste of space. That's a crazy bar. If he seemed a bit slow, it was only just because his gentle nature compelled him to think before acting. When one looked at everything objectively, the conclusion was obvious. Much as she was loath to admit it, he was really unassuming do-gooder everyone had pegged him as. Yeah, he's just a good dude. He's a good you. There's plenty, so she left it at that for now. The chopsticks have, the chopsticks she had been using came to a stop. She was getting very annoyed. An irrational hatred burning through her head. Unable to come to terms with her feelings, she desperately tried to analyze Sojiro, but her mind only went more in circles. Alice fixed Alka with a deadpan stare. A small sigh. Those words were the final blow. Akko felt the floor fall out from under her. She was unable to leave her chair until long after Alice finished eating and left. Goodness, she bodied her. Let's see. How far am I now? Hour and 37. Yes, still not yet. Alrighty. It is almost 2 o'clock though. Man, it feels like every time I play this game I make no progress. It's not because I am a slow reader, but also it's just it's a long game. But, already at chapter 4, so do I continue is the question. Nah, yeah, let me stop for now. Place bookmark. Save. Pop. And I'm gonna continue from there. Alrighty, but let me go back to the title screen. Any extras? Yeah, nothing yet. Yeah. Alrighty. But yeah, I'm gonna end it there for now. Of course, thank y'all for watching. Hopefully, gonna be coming back to this soon. Have no idea, but yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all enjoy. I'll see you